Well, I am not happy, frustrated, but I am not down on the team. There were mistakes. The results sucked rocks, and I don't know if anybody will bother to drop in for the post-game show. I'll do it anyway. Might be kind of short. Well, we got somebody in here. Thank you for coming. Now, I'm going to do the positives first because there were significant number of positives. The positives, I think, outnumbered the negatives. It was just that some of the negatives were bigger. And timing sucked. I mean, at points, Green ran very well. It was the Green we expected to see. His short game was good, not perfect. I mean, some of his passes were off target, but catchable. And the receivers, especially Traylon Ray, made good catches. And let us not fail to mention Justin Robinson. It's kind of the Houston game all over in some respects. Robinson had that fantastic catch to, well, not seal the game, but look like West Virginia had a significant upper hand. So I think he justified signing him on that catch, and we can hope for more in the future. But the offense was still inconsistent at times. What I was happy to see was that most of the game they were able to run well up the middle. They ran a lot more up the middle than they have in any previous game. Problem was that they couldn't do it when they needed to just run out the clock. And that is a problem. Okay. Part of me says you shouldn't run up the middle. Of course, first play, they did run a pitch to the outside, but you have to be able to grind those times. And Coach Brown has said that, you have to be able to run when the other team knows you're going to run. And that was when we couldn't do it. Penalties killed, they hurt the offense. Wyatt Milam quite simply knows better than to pull a guy to the ground like that. And that's kind of been the problem this year, is too many of the mistakes have been players that we know better. And sometimes players who don't play as well as we know they can. CJ Donaldson ran well. White was up and down. He didn't get a lot of carries later. I'm not sure why. I don't think that fumble was really his fault. He seemed to have the ball tucked. But thing is, when teams know you have fumbled, they go extra hard to get more. And that's what happened on that play. If White hadn't fumbled in the previous game, I don't think the Pitt player would be as determined to pull the ball loose, but he did. And White's going to face that now, at least for the rest of this year, maybe the rest of his career. Trey Lathan is back. That's good news. He's been playing, but he hasn't played this well. He made some really good plays. He made some fast plays. That's very good news. Story with the coverage was mixed. They would have times when the quarterback was having to hang around because everybody was covered, and the pressure would have a chance to do something. And then they'd turn around and let a guy get either open or open enough, wouldn't make a play on the ball when they maybe had a chance. Fagan dropped an interception opportunity. He looked very much like Beanie Bishop on that play. He played the ball in the air perfectly and dropped it. Fagan and Hollis both called for pass interference. I question the one on Fagan because, hey, if they say you got to turn to the ball, he did twice. And I mean, the first time may have been a bit of a problem, but he didn't make the play on the ball, and he should have. He knew where the ball was. He did not get a hand on the ball when he should have. And then they called pass interference anyway. The one on Hollis, I guess it took place several steps before the pass got there. I need to watch that replay if I can. He did not interfere with the catch itself. So the the run by Oliver Straw was great. I mean, I love how he just kind of looked and realized what was going on. He looked again and then he took off. But then we turned around the very next series and let a guy just come clean. Both of our blockers took the same guy. Nobody seemed to even look to the outside. You can't make that kind of mistake. That's basic. And that story of the game, great play, really bad play that you just shouldn't make. And that has not been the team's style, or it certainly wasn't last year. And penalties haven't been the issue this year, but they certainly were tonight. Hey, we're all the way up to 2 people. Now, Matt, I got to disagree with you. Yeah, you need first downs, but you don't put the ball in the air because incomplete pass stops the clock, and there are too many things that can go wrong on a pass. Yes, sometimes you decide to take the risk, and if it works, everybody cheers you. If it doesn't, everybody blames you. Brown played it the way it would typically get played, and West Virginia is supposed to be a running team. They are supposed to be able to run the ball, and they didn't. So that's mostly, I think, on the line, not on the calls. Credit Pitt, they won it. Not sure what you want. Again, like I said, if they do anything fancy or unusual and it works, Brown's a hero. It doesn't work, he's the villain. He calls plays that should get positive yardage and they don't, and he's the villain anyway. It was a well-called game. A lot of the plays were very well designed. The Pitt executed better than West Virginia in the last 5 minutes. That is what it comes down to. Second half, the West Virginia defense stuffed Pitt. They had sack after sack, and there's one of the big differences. First half, pressure was getting to the quarterback, but they weren't containing. He was getting out, making big plays. Same kind of problem we've had before. Every now and then they would force a bad play. In the second half, until the last drive and a half, the defense was getting there. They maintained containment. They forced bad throws or sacked the quarterback. And that was the difference. And then late they were forcing the Pitt line to hold. They were forcing bad passes, and then bang, they let a bomb drop, and that changed the game. And after that, they did not. I'm not sure what happened, but they weren't getting enough pressure, and they weren't maintaining containment all over again. Partway through the next to last drive, the quarterback just started getting loose, and he kept getting loose. That, failure to contain, to me, was the difference. And they had shown they could do it, so I'm not sure why. Was it Pitt who made the big changes, or did the West Virginia defense stop doing what was working? Or did they stop doing it because Pitt was adjusting to it? I don't know. But containment was a bigger issue than the defensive backs. And the defensive backs had problems. They improved, had problems. So I like a lot of what the team is doing. I like a lot of it. But the mistakes end up, you have two or three really good plays, one bad play, and that's all gone. You stuff them twice and then give them 30 yards. Those two stuffs don't matter. So defense has to become consistent. If you're hearing a noise in the background, that is Reggie, one of the cats, and she developed pneumonia, has been isolated up here with me, Rockus, and Bob. And the good news is she is feeling well enough to be yelling, "Let me out." And she probably will, have her more or less freedom, let's say more room to roam, starting tomorrow, if all goes well. I think maybe she's going to quiet down. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Although I'm not going to stay here too long. I should have fed the cats near an hour ago. That's part of what Reggie is saying. Yeah, of course, they stacked the box. We knew they'd stack the box. But all you have to do is get 3 1/3 yards against the stacked box. We proved last year that we could do that most of the time. We didn't do it tonight. So, I mean, there were some really great fourth down calls. So, I mean, you got to give Brown credit for that. That Pitt knew we would run it. Brown knew we would run it. I knew we would run it. But we have to be able to run it. So, and yeah, we all hate it. We all hate it. Given the way the game was kind of bouncing around, I was worried. It's like, okay, we're up 10. That's good. It's more than one score. But I wasn't sure if the consistency issue would raise its head. Now, started off, defense was, well, they made a couple of mistakes, but then they forced 2 holding penalties, and it looked like they had the edge. And again, one bad play undoes every bit of that. And we did miss 2 or 3 sacks that we should have had. Should have had 7 or 8 sacks on the night, and a couple of those misses really hurt. I mean, I hate to focus on those, but 5 sacks when you should have had 6 isn't good enough, especially if that miss hurt, and it did. But TJ Jackson was fantastic. I think he was back in after he got hurt. I'm going to have to double check on that. I'm not absolutely certain. Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to the same old thing. You need to be able to run it. Sometimes you go for the unexpected play. If you always go for the unexpected play, it's no longer unexpected. But I mean, you could look what happened to Pitt in the first half. How many times did they try a reverse, a flea flicker, or some other trick play at a key time? And West Virginia dropped them for big losses every single time. So what happens if they call a reverse or a jet sweep and they lose yardage? Everybody gets mad. I mean, I'm the type who would probably call something different. But if I were a head coach, they would have studied that and know my tendencies and probably expect something. So if I were a head coach, running it up the middle would be the different play for me. And Pitt was playing very well on the outside. Come to think of it, I don't think we ran a lot outside. Well, we didn't run a lot outside at all. And again, White was not in very much late. Donaldson is your go-to guy when you need to run out the clock. But if you put White in, people expect it to the outside. But I need to go back and see how many times we ran wide to the left, to Milam's side. I'm not sure. If I were going to do something odd, that probably would have been it. Or a screen pass. We had luck with several screens, and then Pitt also stopped several of them. So that's a really kind of uncertain. All right. Time to eat. Trail name. Are you here just to trash talk? If you're here just to trash talk, leave. One more trash talking without any valid point behind it, and you're out permanently. That's the rule here. We're here to talk football, discuss football. We are not here to do meaningless, pointless, mindless trash talking. So make up your mind, talk, go, or get kicked. Okay. Curious. I actually have 4 accounts. I think you can do 2 accounts per phone number or email, something like that. And yeah, the websites, the podcasts that I like, I have subscribed under all 4 accounts. I appreciate the effort. Last I checked, I still got to get up. Still need 81. The last 3 videos have just bombed horribly. I don't know why. One of them might make it to 100 views. That's somebody like Coos gets 100 views in the first 15 or 20 minutes. So we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Last 2 drives are letting the quarterback out. Then we had the wide open pass with no real pressure, missed a sack, pass interference, and then couldn't stop Pitt close to the goal line. And I mean, I was definitely disappointed in Green on that final drive. I mean, he threw 4 bad passes in a row. That's not like him. Hard for guys to get open, but his passes were, every one of them was off the mark. So wouldn't have expected that. But all it means is we didn't get into position for a Hail Mary. And of course, a Hail Mary does not have what you call a really high rate of success. Receivers generally look good. Clement probably should have had that touchdown pass. The pass was where it needed to be. Clement got his hands on it before the defensive back even knew it was there, but he did not catch it. He bobbled it. And I'm not even sure the defensive back did anything to do with it, or if Clement just bobbled it 3 times. That's not like him. Can't be perfect. But overall, it was not a bad game for the receivers. Clement did have the really long catch. I think that was the one that Milam's penalty brought back. Traylon Ray made 2 really great catches. Gallagher had a couple of catches. We're seeing him downfield now a good bit. That was what, a lot of people thought, that would be one of the keys to the season. I'm glad to see it. We are now, of course, entering conference play next week against Kansas. Kansas has not looked good at all so far this year. And that's kind of worrisome because, a team that's expected to do well and doesn't, are they just kind of going to come in ultra focused and extra purpose? Or will West Virginia, find that focus? And that's the thing. This is a good team. This is a very good team. They're just not clicking. The ability is there. The knowledge is there. Okay? These guys are making mistakes they know they should not make. I don't know what it will take to make things fall into place. Again, that's why we play the game rather than just running the numbers. But I still have full faith in this team. I still expect a strong conference run starting next week. Yeah, and of course, that's the thing. They're breaking in a new OC. We're breaking in a new defensive backfield. Now, on the plus side, Burks had a number of good plays tonight. We had not been hearing his name much. We did in a good way tonight. Officiating sucked rocks. I think that was on both sides. I think there were some bad calls maybe against Pitt. Narduzzi, of course, said they had to beat the officials. That part's nonsense. Because, if there were bad calls, there were definitely bad calls against both teams. Again, reviewing tape to see who got more bad calls is probably pointless. I've got other things to do and not nearly enough energy to do them all, so I'm not going to add to the list right now. Now, quick note, tomorrow I will do another video with a little closer look at things after coaches and players have done their press conferences and I've had time to watch them and do a little thinking. It won't change the final score, and that is, of course, what it comes down to. And I can't change the final score, but I will, see if I can make a little more sense of it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be upset about, but the play calling was good. The play calling was very good. Not everyone was perfect, or more accurately, they didn't execute perfectly on every one. But overall, the play calling was good. Most of the execution was pretty good. It was really the next to last drive that we just didn't execute well enough. And that sucks. Run the clock out and game's over. We win. But Try something fancier and you lose yards, fumble, or throw an interception, and game's over the other way. So runs are safer, but you're supposed to be able to do it. That's what it comes down to. West Virginia is a running team. They have C.J. Donaldson. They have Garrett Green. They should have been able to run the ball better. Well, not necessarily fully run the clock out, but they should have been able to run the ball better. And of course, then Green gets sacked. He didn't have anywhere to go with the ball, and he didn't have anywhere to get out of the pocket. But bad timing for that to happen. And again, Pitt executed better on that play as well. Yeah. Yeah, D-line this game was mostly terrific. They couple of good runs, not many. I mean, average per run for Pitt was crap. And then the quarterback started getting loose late, and that was it. But defensive line and, the extra guys coming with pressure showed some great signs. Third quarter and first 2/3 of the fourth quarter, they were absolutely terrific. Have to finish the game. That's what up until last year, we were talking about being able to finish games. And they didn't do that tonight. And I expect that'll get talked about quite a bit. Guys, I don't really have any more to say. I would probably talk longer if it were a win. And if it were a win, there'd be a lot more people in here listening and adding their comments. So I'm just going to repeat, this, please share and subscribe. Try to get me up to 500 subscribers. Still need 81 or so. And I can't get there without your help. So I am going to go visit the smallish room downstairs, and then I'm going to feed the cats. Then I'm going to medicate the cats. Then I'm going to feed the cats. And then I'm probably going to go to the small room downstairs. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it a night, and I'm going to go try to get things done while I mope. Talk to you again sometime late afternoon, probably tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. So long.